Why do you keep living in debt? Perhaps it's because you haven't yet grasped the timeless secrets of Jewish wisdom that transform lives and reshape relationships with money. Today, I'll uncover what ancient Hebrew wisdom found in the Torah and the Talmud teaches about breaking free from debt and building a solid and prosperous financial life. Money, for you, it's a source of endless worry, isn't it? I can sense the weight of financial stress crushing your shoulders, stealing your sleep, poisoning your relationships. But let me tell you something profound. This burden you carry isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about something far deeper, something the ancient Jewish sages understood thousands of years ago. Look at your life right now. You wake up each morning, haunted by bill notifications. Your credit card statements make your stomach churn. You're working harder than ever, yet somehow falling further behind. What if I told you that your financial struggles aren't really about money at all? What if I told you that generations of Jewish wisdom have already solved the very problems that are tormenting you today? I'm Caleb Solomon, and I've spent decades studying and living the timeless financial principles found in the Torah and Talmud. These aren't just religious texts. They're blueprints for prosperity that have guided the Jewish people through centuries of persecution, displacement, and economic upheaval. While empires rose and fell, while currencies came and went, these principles remained unshaken, creating wealth that lasted for generations. You might be wondering why you should listen to me. After all, the internet is flooded with self-proclaimed financial gurus promising quick riches and overnight success. But I'm not here to sell you get-rich-quick schemes or crypto fantasies. I'm here to share something far more valuable, wisdom that has been tested and proven across millennia. Let me tell you a story that might sound familiar. In the 1930s, my grandfather arrived in America with nothing but the clothes on his back and the wisdom in his head. While others saw the Great Depression as the end of their financial dreams, he saw opportunity. Why? Because he understood something that you don't yet grasp. True wealth isn't built on tricks or trends, but on principles as old as time itself. The Torah teaches us the crown of the wise is their wealth, Proverbs 14:24. Notice it doesn't say the crown of the clever or the crown of the lucky. It specifically mentions the wise. Why? Because wisdom, not luck, not timing, not even talent, is the foundation of lasting prosperity. But let's be brutally honest here. Your relationship with money isn't just unhealthy, it's toxic. You treat money like an enemy to be feared or a friend to be exploited, rather than a tool to be mastered. You've absorbed modern society's destructive messages about wealth, believing that prosperity is either a matter of luck or manipulation. You've rejected the ancient wisdom that could set you free, choosing instead to remain enslaved to financial ignorance. The Talmud tells us that the first question we'll be asked in the heavenly court is whether we conducted our business affairs with integrity. Think about that for a moment. Not our prayers, not our religious observance, but our relationship with money. Why? Because how you handle money reveals everything about your character, your wisdom, and your understanding of life itself. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 pillars of Jewish financial wisdom that have created more millionaires than any business school curriculum. These aren't complex investment strategies or market timing techniques. They're fundamental truths that will challenge everything you think you know about money. But I warn you, this won't be comfortable. I'm not here to coddle your feelings or validate your excuses. I'm here to transform your relationship with money, even if that means confronting the painful truth about your financial choices. Like the prophets of old, I speak with direct honesty because your future depends on it. Some of what I share might seem counterintuitive, even radical, in today's consumer-driven culture. Good. The masses are drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, sacrificing their future on the altar of instant gratification. Do you really want to follow their example? Or are you ready to embrace the wisdom that has created lasting wealth for thousands of years? The choice is yours. But know this, by the end of our time together, you'll have no excuse for financial mediocrity. You'll understand exactly why you've struggled with money and, more importantly, what you must do to change your financial destiny. Are you prepared to hear truths that might make you uncomfortable? Are you ready to confront the financial errors that have held you back? Most importantly, are you willing to embrace wisdom that could transform not just your bank account, but your entire approach to life? The sages teach us that wisdom calling out in the streets, but few choose to listen. Will you be different? Will you have the courage to face these truths and act on them? Your financial future hangs on your answer. Let's begin by examining the 3 deadly financial mistakes that are keeping you trapped in a cycle of scarcity and stress. These aren't just errors in judgment. They're fundamental flaws in your thinking about money, wealth, and value. And until you correct them, no amount of income will ever be enough. How did you like this opening section? If you're satisfied with how I've captured Caleb Solomon's voice and message, I'm ready to proceed with the next topic, following your guideline. Now, let me diagnose exactly why you're failing with money. Yes, failing. Because there's no gentler word for the financial self-destruction you're engaged in every day. You're probably expecting me to blame the economy, inflation, or your salary. But the truth? Your financial problems stem from 3 catastrophic errors in judgment that you repeat day after day, week after week, year after year. Let's start with your most glaring mistake. You're spending money like a fool. Harsh? Perhaps. But tell me, how many times this month have you bought something you didn't need, with money you didn't have, to impress people you don't even like? The Torah warns us explicitly about this behavior. He who loves pleasure will become poor. Proverbs 21:17. Yet here you are, swiping your credit card for another unnecessary purchase, drowning yourself in debt for momentary satisfaction. Last week, you probably bought a $5 coffee instead of making it at home. A small expense, you thought. But let me show you something that will disturb you. That daily $5 habit costs you $1,825 per year. If you had invested that money at a modest 7% return, in 20 years, you would have $75,000. You're not just buying coffee. You're stealing from your future self. The Talmud teaches that a wise person sees the future consequences of their actions. What do your actions say about your wisdom? Your second fatal error is even more devastating. You're willfully ignorant about money. You'll spend hours learning about your favorite sports team or the latest smartphone, but you won't invest 30 minutes to understand how compound interest works. You claim you're not good with numbers, or that finance is too complicated. These aren't explanations, they're excuses, and they're costing you everything. The Jewish tradition has always emphasized financial education. In many Jewish households, children learn about money management before they learn to read. Why? Because financial literacy isn't optional, it's survival. Yet here you are, a grown adult, still not understanding the basics of budgeting, investing, or wealth creation. You're like someone dying of thirst while sitting next to a well, simply because you refuse to learn how to operate the pump. Do you know your exact net worth? Can you tell me your monthly cash flow without checking your phone? Do you understand the difference between an asset and a liability? If you're stumbling over these basic questions, you're not just financially illiterate. You're choosing to remain that way. And in today's world, voluntary ignorance is voluntary poverty. But your third error, this is the one that truly shows the poverty of your thinking. You've become addicted to debt. The credit card bills, the car loans, the buy now, pay later schemes. You're not financing your life, you're financing your own destruction. The Torah states clearly, the borrower is servant to the lender. Proverbs 22:7. You're not just in debt, you're in voluntary servitude. Let me paint you a picture of your future if you continue down this path. In 10 years, you'll still be making minimum payments on credit cards you're using today. You'll be living paycheck to paycheck, but with even more expensive tastes and bigger bills. Your retirement account will be empty or nearly so, and you'll be starting to feel the cold panic of realizing you can't afford to grow old. This isn't a prediction. It's a mathematical certainty based on your current behavior. Every time you use debt to buy something you can't afford, you're voting for your own poverty. Every time you ignore your finances because they're too complicated, you're choosing to remain poor. Every time you spend on impulse rather than investing with intention, you're building your own financial prison, brick by brick, debt by debt. The Talmud teaches us that poverty follows the poor. This isn't just a statement about money, it's about mindset. Your poverty mentality is ensuring your financial failure. You make decisions based on immediate comfort rather than long-term prosperity. You choose ignorance over education. You prefer the slavery of debt to the discipline of delayed gratification. But here's what truly breaks my heart. All of this is completely unnecessary. The path to financial wisdom has been mapped out for thousands of years. The principles that could transform your financial life have been tested and proven across generations. The knowledge that could set you free is available to you right now. Are you ready to hear about the solution? Are you prepared to learn the 3 pillars of Jewish financial wisdom that have created and preserved wealth for millennia? More importantly, are you willing to make the changes these principles demand? Because if you're just looking for easy answers or quick fixes, you might as well stop watching now. But if you're truly ready to transform your financial future, then what I'm about to share will change everything. How did you like this diagnostic section? If you're satisfied with how I've maintained Caleb's confrontational yet caring tone while deeply exploring these financial mistakes, I'm ready to proceed with the next topic following your guideline. Now, let me share with you the central principle of Jewish financial wisdom, one that has created more wealth than all your modern investment strategies combined. The Torah and Talmud teach us that true prosperity rests on 3 unshakable pillars: planning, restraint, and generosity. This isn't just ancient philosophy. It's a battle-tested system for building lasting wealth. In Deuteronomy 15:6, we find a remarkable promise. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. Notice the profound implication here. The goal isn't just to be debt-free, it's to build such abundant wealth that you become a source of capital for others. But right now, you're living exactly the opposite way, aren't you? You're the one constantly borrowing, constantly owing, constantly scrambling to make minimum payments. Let me tell you a story from the Talmud that will change how you think about money forever. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish was once asked by his students why some people seemed blessed with financial prosperity while others struggled in perpetual poverty. His response was unexpected. He said, "Those who prosper understand that wealth is like a shadow." His students were confused until he explained, "When you chase a shadow, it runs from you. When you turn away from it, it follows you." Do you understand the profound truth here? Your desperate pursuit of money, the constant worry, the endless scheming for quick profits, the obsession with appearing wealthy is exactly what's keeping wealth away from you. You're chasing the shadow, and it's running from you faster than ever. This brings us to the first pillar, planning. But I'm not talking about the weak, wishful thinking you call planning. I mean ruthless, strategic, long-term financial planning that spans decades, not months. The Talmud tells us that a person should divide their money into 3 parts: one for business, one for living expenses, and one kept liquid for opportunities. When's the last time you did this? Or are you still living paycheck to paycheck, letting your money control you instead of you controlling it? The second pillar, restraint, is where you fail most miserably. You live in an age of instant gratification, where every advertisement screams, "Buy now, pay later." But Jewish wisdom teaches that true wealth comes from delayed gratification. The sage Hillel used to say, "More flesh, more worms, more property, more worry, He wasn't against wealth. He was warning against the mindless accumulation that characterizes your spending habits. Let me be brutally honest. Your lack of restraint isn't just a financial problem. It's a character flaw. Every impulsive purchase, every unnecessary subscription, every status symbol you buy to impress others reveals a fundamental weakness in your character. The Talmud teaches that a wise person is one who sees the future consequences of their actions. What future are you creating with your daily financial choices? The third pillar, generosity, might surprise you. In your scarcity mindset, you probably think you can't afford to be generous. But Jewish wisdom teaches that generosity isn't just a moral obligation, it's a financial strategy. The practice of ma'aser, giving away 10% of your income, isn't just charity. It's a powerful tool for developing financial discipline and attracting prosperity. There's a story of a poor man who came to the great sage, the Chofetz Chaim, asking for a blessing for wealth. Instead of immediately blessing him, the sage asked, "What will you do with wealth if you receive it?" The man couldn't answer. The sage told him, "Until you know how to use wealth properly, you're not ready to receive it. I ask you the same question. Are you ready for true prosperity, or are you just wanting more money to waste?" These three pillars, planning, restraint, and generosity, form a system that has created wealth for thousands of years. But let me be clear, this system demands something from you. It demands discipline. It demands patience. Most of all, it demands that you change who you are at your core. You have a choice to make right now. You can continue living as you are, stressed, struggling, and slowly drowning in debt. You can keep making excuses, keep blaming circumstances, keep choosing immediate gratification over lasting prosperity. How's that working out for you? How does it feel to check your bank account with fear? How does it feel to lie awake at night wondering how you'll pay your bills? Or you can choose to embrace these principles that have created generational wealth for millennia. But understand this, there is no middle ground. You either commit to this wisdom fully, or you remain exactly where you are. These principles work, but only if you work them. Are you ready to learn the practical steps for implementing these principles in your life? Are you prepared to make the changes necessary to transform your financial future? Or will you continue living in financial mediocrity, pretending that somehow things will magically get better without you having to change? How did you like this section on the central principles? If you're satisfied with how I've presented these timeless teachings while maintaining Caleb's confrontational, yet wisdom-filled tone, I'm ready to proceed with the next topic following your guidelines. The time for abstract wisdom is over. Let me show you exactly what you need to do right now, today, to start transforming your financial life. But remember what the Talmud teaches. One who hears and does not do is like one who plows but does not sow. Knowledge without action is worthless. First, you need to perform what I call a financial teshuvah, a complete return and repentance from your destructive money habits. Just as teshuvah in Judaism requires honest self-examination, confession, and a commitment to change, you must face the brutal reality of your financial situation. Right now, today, you need to calculate your exact net worth, not a rough estimate. I mean every dollar you own and every dollar you owe. This process will be painful. You'll probably feel shame when you see the numbers. Good. The Talmud teaches that embarrassment leads to fear of sin. Let that shame fuel your commitment to change. Take every bank statement, every credit card bill, every loan document, and face them. Most people, and I suspect you're one of them, don't even know how much they actually owe. They hide from their financial reality like a child hiding under blankets from a monster. Next, you must implement what the sages call seder, order, in your financial life. The ancient Jews kept meticulous records of their business transactions. They understood that disorder in finances leads to disorder in life. You need to create a detailed spending plan. And yes, I'm using the word plan because budget has become an excuse for half-hearted attempts at financial control. Here's what you'll do. Take your monthly income and divide it according to the wisdom of Rabbi Isaac ben Sheshet. He taught about the principle of thirds: 1/3 for necessities, 1/3 for savings and investment, and 1/3 for discretionary use. But you probably can't start there because you're drowning in debt, aren't you? So you'll modify this temporarily. 50% for necessities, 30% for debt repayment, and 20% for savings. Not a penny less in savings. This isn't negotiable. You need to stop the bleeding immediately. The Talmud says, first remove the splinter from between your teeth, then tell others to remove the beam from between their eyes. Your splinter is your daily waste of money. Starting right now, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now, you will record every single expense, every coffee, every subscription, every impulse purchase. The Baal Shem Tov taught that what we don't measure, we can't improve. Here's your daily practice. Every morning before you spend a single dollar, you must look at your spending plan. The Modeh Ani prayer is said immediately upon waking to show gratitude and set intention for the day. Similarly, this financial review sets your intention and reminds you of your commitment to change. Without this daily reinforcement, you'll slip back into your old habits faster than you can say bankruptcy. Now, about your debt, you need to implement what I call the Exodus strategy. Just as our ancestors had a systematic plan to leave Egypt, you need a systematic plan to leave debt slavery. List every debt you have, from highest interest rate to lowest. This is your personal Egypt. Every debt is a chain you need to break. You'll attack these debts using the snowball method, but with a crucial modification based on Jewish wisdom. The Talmud teaches that we must be both wise and understanding, meaning we need both intelligence and emotional wisdom. You'll pay minimum payments on everything except your highest interest debt, which you'll attack with every extra dollar you have. But, and this is crucial, you'll also set aside 10% for tzedakah, charity, and 10% for savings. Yes, even while in debt. Why? Because the principle of maaser, tithing, isn't just about giving, it's about acknowledging that your money isn't really yours. It belongs to God, and you're just a steward. This mindset shift is crucial. When you see yourself as a steward rather than an owner, you make better financial decisions. You need to create what the sages call a gader, a fence, around your money. In Jewish law, we build fences around commandments to prevent accidentally breaking them. Your financial fence means no credit cards, no loans, no buy now, pay later schemes. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it. Period. The temporary discomfort of living below your means is nothing compared to the permanent pain of debt slavery. Finally, you must begin building your own Mishkan, your financial sanctuary. The ancient temple was built with everyone's contribution, from the wealthy to the poor. Similarly, your financial future must be built systematically, with every dollar playing its part. Start investing immediately, even if it's a small amount. The Talmud teaches that poverty follows the poor, meaning poor financial habits create more poverty. Break this cycle now, but let me be crystal clear. This plan only works if you start right now. Not after watching one more video, not after reading one more book, not after getting one more piece of advice. Now. The Talmud tells us that every blade of grass has an angel that whispers, "Grow, grow." Consider this your angel, whispering, "Act, act." Are you ready to learn about the specific investment strategies that have preserved Jewish wealth for generations? Or are you still making excuses about why you can't start today? Your answer to this question will determine whether you remain a financial slave or begin your journey to true prosperity. How did you like this practical advice section? If you're satisfied with how I've maintained Caleb's authoritative tone while providing detailed, actionable steps, I'm ready to proceed with the next topic following your guidelines. Let me tell you about David Sassoon, a name you've probably never heard, but one that perfectly illustrates the power of these financial principles. In 1832, Sassoon fled persecution in Baghdad with almost nothing. He could have chosen to be a victim. Instead, he remembered the teachings of his ancestors and turned to the timeless principles I've been sharing with you. Within just a few decades, Sassoon built one of the largest trading companies in Asia. How? By following exactly what I've been teaching you. He implemented strict financial planning, showing extraordinary restraint in his business dealings, and became known for his remarkable generosity. Today, the Sassoon legacy lives on not just through wealth, but through the hospitals, schools, and synagogues his family built across multiple continents. But you're probably thinking, that's a story from 200 years ago. What about today? Let me tell you about Michael, a student of mine who came to me 5 years ago drowning in $127,000 of debt. Like you, he was skeptical. Like you, he had every excuse in the book. He was making $45,000 a year and convinced himself that his situation was hopeless. The first thing we did was implement the principle of Cheshbon Hanefesh, an accounting of the soul. Just as Jews traditionally review their spiritual actions daily, Michael began reviewing every financial decision. No purchase was too small to track. No expense was too routine to question. It wasn't easy. He had to face years of financial mistakes. But as the Talmud teaches, according to the effort is the reward. Within 6 months, Michael had cut his monthly expenses by 40%, simply by applying the principle of mindful spending. He sold his leased car and bought a reliable used one. He moved to a smaller apartment. He started cooking at home instead of eating out. But here's the crucial part. He didn't feel deprived. Why? Because for the first time in his life, he was in control of his money, instead of his money controlling him. Then we implemented the principle of Maaser, giving 10% of his income to charity, even while in debt. This sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Give money away while you're trying to get out of debt? But something remarkable happened. The discipline of giving forced Michael to become even more intentional with the remaining 90% of his money. As the Talmud promises, tithe so that you will become wealthy. Within 3 years, Michael had paid off all his debt. Today, he has a 6-figure investment portfolio and owns 2 rental properties. More importantly, he's teaching these same principles to his children, breaking the cycle of financial ignorance that probably plagued your family too. Let me share another story, this one from the depths of the 2008 financial crisis. Sarah, a single mother of 3, lost her job when her company downsized. Most people would have panicked. Most people did panic. But Sarah had been following these principles for years. She had 6 months of expenses saved, not because she was wealthy, but because she followed the ancient Jewish wisdom of storing during plenty for times of famine. While others were forced to take whatever job they could find, Sarah had the freedom to wait for the right opportunity. While others were drowning in debt, she was debt-free and had options. Today, she owns a successful business that she started during that crisis. As the Talmud teaches, who is wise? One who sees what is being born. Sarah saw opportunity where others saw only disaster. These aren't just success stories, they're testimonies to the power of these principles. The same wisdom that helped our ancestors survive exile and persecution can help you break free from financial bondage. The same principles that built generational wealth centuries ago still work today. But here's what you need to understand. None of these people achieved success by half measures. They didn't try these principles, they lived them. They didn't make excuses, they made changes. They didn't wait for the perfect time. They started immediately. Look at your life right now. Are you struggling paycheck to paycheck? Are you drowning in debt? Are you worried about your financial future? These people were once exactly where you are. The only difference between them and you is that they chose to act. Remember what the Talmud teaches. In a place where there are no leaders, strive to be a leader. Your financial situation needs leadership, your leadership. These stories prove that transformation is possible, but only if you're willing to take control. Are you ready to write your own success story? Are you prepared to join the ranks of those who have used these principles to transform their financial lives? Or will you remain another cautionary tale, someone who heard wisdom but failed to act on it? How did you like this section of inspiring stories? If you're satisfied with how I've maintained Caleb's authoritative voice while weaving together historical and contemporary examples, I'm ready to proceed with the final topic following your guidelines. The moment of decision has arrived. You've heard the ancient wisdom that has created more wealth than all of Wall Street's schemes combined. You've seen how these principles have transformed lives across centuries. Now, you stand at a crossroads that will define not just your financial future, but your legacy. The Torah teaches us that when Moses presented the laws to the Israelites, he said, "I place before you today blessing and curse, life and death. Choose life, that you and your children may live." Today, I place before you a similar choice: financial slavery or financial freedom, mediocrity or excellence, constant stress or lasting peace. The principles I've shared aren't complicated, but they demand something from you that money can't buy: commitment. The same commitment that helped our ancestors survive exile and build prosperity from nothing. The same commitment that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary success stories. Your financial situation isn't going to magically improve by watching this video. Knowledge without action is like a bird with one wing. It will never fly. Every minute you wait to implement these principles is another minute you choose to remain in financial bondage. Think about where you'll be in 5 years if you continue your current path. Will you still be making minimum payments on credit cards? Still living paycheck to paycheck? Still lying awake at night worried about money? Or will you be telling your own story of transformation, teaching these principles to others, building a legacy of prosperity that will outlive you? The choice, and yes, it is a choice, belongs to you alone. No one can force you to take control of your financial life. No one can make you follow these principles. No one can want success for you more than you want it for yourself. If you're ready to begin this journey, here's what you need to do right now. First, subscribe to this channel. Every week, I share detailed teachings about implementing these timeless principles in today's world. Second, comment below with the single biggest insight you gained from this video, and the first action you're going to take. Your commitment, publicly stated, becomes your first step toward change. Finally, if you know someone struggling with their finances, and you certainly do, share this video with them. The Talmud teaches that saving a single life is like saving an entire world. By sharing this wisdom, you might save someone from a lifetime of financial struggle. Remember, prosperity isn't just about having money. It's about having the wisdom to use it properly. These principles have created wealth for thousands of years, and they'll work for you too, but only if you work them. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless you with the wisdom to choose prosperity and the strength to pursue it. Shalom. How did you find this concluding section? I aimed to maintain Caleb's authoritative voice, while delivering a powerful call to action and ending with a meaningful blessing. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments to better capture the intended impact.